guys, today I'm reading this book Chesapeake Blue by Nora Roberts. I'm going to read it. First chapter. He was coming home. Maryland's eastern shore was a world of marshes and mudflats, of wild fields with row crops straight as soldiers. It was flatland rivers with sharp shoulders and secret tidal creeks where the Huron fed. It was blue crab and the bay, and the watermen who harvested them. No matter where he lived in the first miserable decade of his life or in the first few years as he approached the end of his third decade. Only the shore had ever meant home. There were countless aspects, countless memories of that home, and everyone was as bright and brilliant in his mind as the sun that sparkled off the water of the Chesapeake. As he dropped across the bridge, his artist's eye wanted to capture that moment. The rich blue water and the boats that skimmed its surface, the quick white waves and the whoop of greedy gulls, the way the land skimmed its edge and spilled back with its brown and greens. All the thickened waves of the gum and oak trees, with those flashes of color that were flowers basking in the warmth of spring. He wanted to remember his moment just as he remembered the first time he'd crossed the bay to the eastern shore, a surely frightened boy beside a man who'd promised him a life. He'd sat in the passenger seat of the car with the man he hardly knew at the wheel. He had the clothes on his back and a few meager possessions in the paper sack. His stomach had been tightened with nerves, but he'd fixed that, he thought, a bored look in his face, and had started out the window. If he was with the old guy, he wasn't with her. That was as good a deal as he could get. Besides, the old guy was pretty cool. He didn't think of Bruce or of the means some of the assholes Gloria bought up the dump they were living in used to cover it up, and the couple of times they'd been together. The old guy, Ray, had bought him a burger or pizza, and he'd talk to him. Adults, in his experience, didn't talk to kids, at them, around them, over them, but not to them. Ray did listen to, and when he'd ask, straight out, if he, just a kid, wanted to live with him, he hadn't felt that startling fear or hot panic. He'd felt like maybe, just maybe, he was catching a break. Away from her, that was the best part. The longer they drove, the farther away from her. If things got sticky, he could run. The guy was really old. Big he was, sure as shit big, but old. All that white hair and that white wrinkled face. He looked quick, sidelong glances at it, began to draw the face in his mind. His eyes were really blue, and that was kind of weird, because so were his own. He had a big voice too, But when he talked, it wasn't like yelling. It was kind of calm, even a little tired. Maybe he sure looked tired now. Almost home, Ray said as they approached the bridge. Hungry. I do know, yeah, I guess. My experienced boy are always hungry. Ray's three bottomless pits. There was cheer in the big voice, but it was forced. The child might have been barely 10, but he knew the tone of flashwood. Far enough away now, he thought, if he had to run, so he'd put the cards on the table and see what the fuck was that. How come you talking me to your place? Because you need a place. Get real? People don't do shit like that. Some do, Stella and I, my wife, and we did shit like that. You tell her you are bringing me around? Ray smiled, but there was a sadness in it. In my way, she died some time back. You'd like her. And she'd have taken one look at you and rolled up her sleeves. He didn't know what to say about that. What am I supposed to do when we got where we are going? Leave. Ray told him, be a boy, go to school, get in trouble, I'll teach you a sail. On a boat? Now Ray laughed. A big booming sound that filled the car, and for reasons the boy couldn't understand, united the nerves in his belly. Yeah, on a boat. Got a brainless puppy? I always get the brainless ones. I'm trying to housebreak. You can help me with that. You are gonna have calls. We'll figure that out. We'll lay down the rules and you'll follow them. Don't think because I'm an old man, I'm a pushover. You gave her money. Ray glanced away from the road briefly and looked into eyes as the same color as his own. That's right. That's what she understands from what I can see. She never understood you. Did she, boy? Something was gathering inside him, a storm he didn't recognize as hope. If you get pissed off at me, or tired of having me around, or just change your mind, you'll send me back. I won't go back. They were over bridge now. And Ray pulled the car into shoulder of the road, shifted his bulk in the seat to say, so they were face to face. I'll get pissed off you, and my age I'm bound to get tired from time to time, but I am making you a promise here and now. I'm giving you my word. I won't spend you back. I won't let her take you back, Ray said, anticipating him. No matter what I have to do, you are mine now. You are my family now, and you'll stay with me as long as that's what you want. A queen makes a promise, he added, and held out a hand. He keeps it. Seth looked at the offered hand, and his own sprang. Damn, I don't like being touched. Ray nodded. Okay, but you all still got my word on it. He pulled back onto the road again, gave the boy one last glance. Almost home, he said again. Within months, Ray Queen had died, but he kept his word. He kept his thoughts. The three men he'd made his son. Those men had given the scrawny, suspicious, and scared young boy a life. They had given him a home and made him a man. Cameron, the edgy, quick-tempered gypsy, Eden, the patient, steady waterman, Philip, the elegant, sharp-minded executor. They had stood for him, fought for him. They had saved him, his brothers. The glitter light of the late afternoon sun seamed the marsh grass, the mud flat, the fat field of raw crop. With the window down the cove, the scent of water as he bypassed the little town of St. Christopher. He considered swinging into town, heading first to the old brick boatyard bought by Queen, still custom-made wooden boats. And in the 18 years since the enterprise and started on a dream, on guile, on sweet, it had earned its reputation for quality and craftsmanship. They were probably there, even now, concursing as he finished up some fancy work in the cabin. Eden quickly leapt inboard. Pill up in the office, conjuring up some snazzy ad campaign. He could go, boy. Crawford, pick up a six-pack, maybe he'd have called one. Or more like Cam would toss him a hammer and tell him to get his ass back to work. He'd enjoy that, but it wasn't what was drawing him now. It wasn't what was pulling him down the narrow country road where the marsh still scraped out the shadow and the trees with their gun-tongued spread leaves glossy with May. Of all the places he'd seen, the great domes and spires of Florence, the florid beauty of Paris, the stunning green hills of Ireland, nothing ever caught at his throat, filled up his heart like the old White House with its soft and faded blue trims that had a bumpy lawn that slid back into quiet water. He pulled in the drive behind the all-white Betty that had been Ray and Stella Connin's. The car looked as pristine as the day it had rolled off the showroom floor. Cam's doing, he thought. Cam's would say it was a matter of showing proper respect for an exceptional machine. But it was all about Ray and Stella, all about family, all about love. The lilac in the front yard was smothered with blooms. That was a matter of love too. He reflected he'd given Anna the title bush of Mother's Day. When he was 12, she'd cried. He remembered big, beautiful brown eyes flooded with tears, laughing and sweeping at them the whole time he had planned it for her. She was Cam's wife, and so that made Anna his sister. But inside, he thought now where it counted, she was his mother. The Queens knew all about what was inside. He got out of the car into the lovely stillness. He was no longer a scrawny boy with oversized feet and suspicious color. He'd grown into those feet. He was 6'1" with a wiry build, one that could go key if he neglected it. His hair had darkened and was more a bronzed brown than the sandy mop of his youth. He tended to neglect that as well, and running a hand through it now, winced as he recalled his intention to have it trimmed before leaving Rome. The guy was going to rag on him about the little ponytail, which meant he'd have to keep it for a while out of principle. He struggled and, dipping his hand into the pockets of his own jeans, began to walk, scanning the surroundings, Anna's flowers, the rockers on the front porch, the woods that haunted the side of the house and where he'd run wild as a boy. The old dock swung over the water, and the wide sailing sloop moored to it. He stood looking out, his face hollow-cheeked and turned toward the water. His lips, warm and full, began to curl. The weight he hadn't realized was hanging from his heart began to lift. At the sound of the rustle in the woods, he turned enough of the worry boy still in the man to make the move swift and defensive. Out of trees shot a black bullet, weightless. His voice had both the ring of authority and easy humor. The combination had the dog skidding to a halt, all flopping ears and lolling tongue as it studied the man. "Come on, it hasn't been that long," he couraged and held out the hand. "Remember me." Whiteless grinned, the dopey grin that had named him, instantly flopped down and rolled to expose his belly for a rub. "There you go. That's the way." There had always been a dog for his house, always a board at the dock, a rocker on the porch, and a dog in the yard. "Yeah, you remember me." As he stopped, witless, he looked over to the far end, the yard wall where Anna had planted a hydrangea of the grave of his own dog. "The lawyer and much love, foolish. I'm Seth," he murmured. "I've been away too long." He caught his sound of an engine. The sassy squirrel of tired of the turn taken just a hair faster than he allowed. Even as he straightened, the dog leaped up, stricken away toward the front of the house, waiting to savor the moment. Seth followed more slowly. He listened to the car door slam, then to the lift and lift of her voice as she spoke to the dog. Then he just looked at her, Anna, spinningly queen, with the curling mass of dark hair, wind blew from the drive, her arms full of the bags he'd helped out of the car. His grin spread as she tried to ward off the desperate affection from the dog. "How many times do you have to go over this one?" "Simple rule," she demanded. "How do not jump on people, especially me when I'm wearing a suit." "Great suit," Seth called out. "Better legs." Her head whipped up, those deep brown eyes widened and showed him the shock, the pressure, the pleasure, the welcome all in one glance. "Oh my God." Hidden of the contents, she tossed the bags, brought the open car door, and ran. He carved lifted her 6 inches off the ground and spun her round before setting her on her feet again. Still, he didn't let go. Instead, he just buried his face in her hair. "Hi, Seth," she clung, ignoring the dog that leaped and jibbed and did his best to shove his muscle between them. "I can't believe it. You are here? Don't cry, just a little. I have to look at you." She had his face framed in her hand as he asked back. "So handsome," she thought. "So grown up. You look at all this," she murmured and brushed a hand at his hair. I mean to God, some of it whacked off. I like it. Tears still trickled even as she grinned. Very bohemian. You look wonderful, absolutely wonderful. You are the most beautiful woman in the world. Oh boy, she sniffed, shook her head. That's no way. To get me to stop all this, she wiped at tears. When did to get there? I thought you were in Rome. I was. I wanted to be here. If you're cold, you wouldn't me you. I want to surprise you. He walked to the car to pull the bags out of her. Came at the boatyard. Should be here. He'll get those. You need to get your things. I'll get them later. Where's Kevin and Jake? She started up the walk with him, glanced at her watch, as she thought about her sons. What they did this. Is this? My mind still spinning. Thursday. Oh, Kevin has rehearsal, school play, and Jake's got softball practice. Kevin's got his driver's license. God help us, and it's scooping up his brother on his way home. She unlocked the front door. They should be along in an hour. Then peace will no longer lie across the land. It was the same, Seth thought. He didn't matter what color the walls were painted for. The same, Seth thought. I didn't matter what color was the wall were painted or if the old sofa had been replaced. If a new lamp stood the table, it was the same because it felt the same. The dog snaked around his leg and made a beeline for the kitchen. I want you to sit down. She nodded to the kitchen table under which Whittlers was wrapped, happily gnawing a hunk of rope, and tell me everything. You want some wine? Sure. After I help you put his stuff away. When her eyebrows shot up, he pushed with a gallon of milk in his hand. What? I was just remembering the way everyone, including you, disappeared whenever it was time to put groceries away, because you'll always let me put things in the wrong place. You always did on purpose. I'd kick you out of the kitchen. You copped to that, huh? I cop to everything when I comes to my guards. Nothing gets by me. Pal, did something happen in Rome? No, he continued to unpack the bags. He knew where everything went, where everything had always gone in Anna's kitchen. I'm not in trouble, Anna, but you're trouble, she thought, and let it go for now. I'm going to open a nice Italian white. We'll have a glass and you can tell me all the wonderful things you've been doing. It seems like years since we've talked face to face. He shut the refrigerator and turned to her. I'm sorry, I didn't get some for Christmas. Page number 10 is over. To be continued in page number 11. See you next book reading. Bye and have a nice day.